Good evening, YouTube. Hardball Crazy come back to you with one quick mail day. I picked this card up as a pre-war slab card of a player probably nobody has ever really heard of, unless you're really a fan of pre-war guys or of this team. I picked this card, bought this card on Veterans Day. It's very appropriate why I picked this card on Veterans Day. And I got it in the mail this past weekend. So on Veterans Day, I decided to pick up a Major League Baseball war veteran. Who is it? It's Hank Gowdy, 1921 American Carmel E121 Series, SGC3. This is like my second or third E121 American Carmel card. I have now I counted over 80 pre-war cards in my collection or so. Who is Hank Gowdy? I'll tell you a little bit about Mr. Hank Gowdy. He was the catcher in the era. He started out as a first baseman, but in his early days in minor leagues, he just converted to catcher. And he was a catcher of the 1914 Boston Braves. What's significant about the Boston Braves in 1914, they were considered they're known as the Miracle Braves. We know about the Nationals this past year coming from almost way back to become World Series champions, but 1914 Miracle Braves was in last place on 4th of July. Keep in mind, there's no wild card, there's no division, so you had to win your league pennant to get to the World Series. They were in last place on 4th of July. They won some type of tear, ended up winning the pennant and beating the favored Philadelphia A's in the World Series, thus becoming the 1914 Miracle Braves. Hank Gowdy was the starting catcher on that team, and in the World Series in 1914, he hit over 550. But most notably, Hank Gowdy's floor is he was the first MLB player to enlist into World War I. He was a fine, to all accounts, he was a fine soldier, and was part of actual war. And after the war, he went back to Major League Baseball, and even though he was one of the heroes of the 1914 World Series, in 1924 he pretty much was the GOAT. As a catcher, you threw the get a pop up behind there, you throw the mask. Once you're under it, you don't throw a mask immediately. Well, he did back in the day, and his feet got caught in his mask and dropped a pop up, and the batter after that got a new life, subsequently hit the World Series clinching run after that. So he became the GOAT of that series. But he ended up having a fine career all around. And after he got done playing, he got into coaching. And then when World War II came around, he volunteered to go into World War II as a 53-year-old man. Was a captain in World War II. And he's the only player ever to be a soldier in World War I and World War II in Major League Baseball history. Came back to war, became as a war hero. And to this day right now, the baseball park at Fort Benning is named Hank Gowdy Field, named after him, obviously. So there you go. That's who Hank Gowdy is. One little tidbit on Hank Gowdy. He has the record of being on a Hall of Fame ballot the most times ever without getting elected in the Hall of Fame. He's been on a Hall of Fame ballot 17 times without getting elected. It's a major league record. Obviously, the record is going to hold for a while since we now have a limit of 10 years. And there you have it, Hank Gowdy. Picked up on. I thought it'd be a cool collection to have a card in my collection of a war hero, a fine catcher back in the day. And Mr. Hank Gowdy should be remembered a little bit more, and I'm giving you hopefully help out a little bit there. Thank you for watching, and have a good evening.